Okay. Um, it's year 12 now. Year 12. This is my last year of high school, and this year I'm deciding to do something different. I just want to do the lessons I've learned while I'm going. So, somewhat like what I'm doing last year. But let's see how it goes. The first lesson in biology we learned is about DNA structure, its function, and replication. Now, under this main topic, there are subtopics like nucleic acids. Now, what is nucleic acids? It's too long, can't be bothered. First, we need to get to the idea of macro molecules. Not micro, but macro. We know what micro means, that means small. Now, macro just means big. Macromolecule just means big molecules. There are four macromolecules that are pretty essential for survival of living things. First, you have sugar. That's the first one. Uh, Hold on a second. No, sorry, excuse me. First one, you have proteins. Proteins are made of amino acids, but we just call it proteins. Second, carbohydrates. Now, carbohydrates is made up of sugar. Carbohydrates is made of simple sugar, and there can also be complex sugar that is made of simple sugar. The third macromolecule is lipid. Now, this section contains fats and oils that are essential for, having good skin, having dark and nice hair. And the fourth one we get into is nucleic acid. Now, since we know what protein and carbohydrate and also what lipid is, the only questionable word on that for macromolecule is nucleic acid. Now, simply put, nucleic acids are polynucleotides that are composed of repeating units called nucleotides. So now we know that nucleic acids is a macromolecule. It's one of the four macromolecules that are essential for our survival. And it's made of many, many repeating units of nucleotides. So, nucleotides. Nucleotides is made up of three parts. It has a circle, a polygon in the middle, and on the right, it's usually a square or a triangle. Now, what they each stand for is on the left you have the phosphate, and the circular shape is always the phosphate. In the middle, you always have the sugar, and on the right, where the box is, this is usually the base. We don't need to worry about the phosphate and the sugar for now, but what we need to know is the base. So, revision time. This whole thing is called a nucleotide, and many of these things repeating and attached together is called a polynucleotide. And polynucleotides are also known as nucleic acids. So, let's get on to the bases. Base. The square is the base. Now, in DNA, there are four different bases. You know what they are, A, T, and C, G. These are four different bases in DNA. There's adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. But the bases are different in RNA. Again, RNA is kind of different to DNA. RNA also has a phosphate, sugar, and a base in its nucleotide. But for the base, instead of ATCG, it has AUCG. U for uracil. Now, for now, we don't need to worry about uracil and all these bases. The only thing we need to be able to do is pair them up, AT with CG in DNA, and in RNA that will be AU paired and the CG paired. Okay, turning the page. Is there anything more? All right. Okay, so the two polynucleotide strands each have a helical shape and are wound around one another, forming a double helix. What that meant, what I just read off the textbook, basically is since we know what polynucleotide is, this is the nucleotide. We know what polynucleotide is. Poly basically means many repeating units of same thing. So polynucleotide would look like this, literally a line of nucleotides. Now, for the purpose of this, I won't be drawing each one of them. But imagine that in between here, polynucleotides, the small thing, the phosphate, the sugar, the bases we just drew, there are many polynucleotides between on this line, on these two lines, and they each have a helical shape. Together, they form a double helix, like a yeah, that's the DNA model that we see very often. And this is held together by weak forces of attraction called hydrogen bonds between the bases. Remember, you have the circle, which is the phosphate, the polygon, which is the sugar. On the end, you have bases, which is ATCG. So literally in DNA, you'd have these little bases on the end, all facing each other on the inside, and between them, they're not actually attached. They are attached by a weak force of attraction called hydrogen bond. And this bond is really easy to break apart because your cell needs to be able to do that for DNA to replicate and for the cell to replicate. Anyway, that is everything about nucleic acid, and we covered a little about the topic of DNA structure. Anyway, that's my first video for 2020, for the new term, for the new year. Very excited, and yeah, happy new term, happy new school year, and enjoy biology and of course other subjects too. See you.